One of the things that people don't actually pay attention to is what happens when it passes on, the cost involved on transferring wealth between one person to the next generation. The reality is that when I passes on, my wealth has to be transferred somewhere else. And if I've decided that the wealth that I amassed, no matter how small it is, it needs to be transferred to the next person. That is very important. And we need to understand and educate each other about the cost involved in there. Guys, it's very, very important. We live in a systematic environment. There are tax implications. There are certain exemptions within the tax framework, the legislation, and we can work around that. But there are certain costs because there are professionals involved in executing, in ensuring that we transfer this property from you to the next person. So someone has to work, someone has to be paid. That's why you find that there are conveyancers that needs to be hired to go to the deeds office and do the transfer of the property from the deceased into beneficiaries, if that is the case, right? That's very important. That particular person needs to be paid to execute that. Are there any transfer duty that will need to be paid? Luckily, within the tax legislation, there's already an exemption for that. There's no transfer duty when it comes to transferring a property from the deceased estate to the heirs, right? That's one of the benefits. However, what we need to also be mindful is that there could potentially be capital gain tax implications on the date of death. Yes, that's bit more advanced. There are certain scenarios that we can apply so that you don't end up paying that capital gain tax should you pass on, right? Now, those are some, but then there's also other benefits such as the annual exclusion, capital gain exclusions. When someone passes on, there's higher benefits which we can potentially take advantage of that. Those are things that you need to be mindful, and you need to work around these costs when you're still alive so that you ensure that your estate has liquidity in it. It's very, very, very important to understand the whole framework, guys. Then within that, when you're going to transfer this wealth, these properties, there are clearance certificates that needs to be paid. If this property is part of sectional title, you need to have a levy clearance certificate. Someone has to be paid for to do that exercise. If the property still needs to go and get those raised clearance certificates, someone has to be paid to do those administration. So there are going to be certain cost involved. So it's important to understand all these things and then be able to budget and make sure that your estate is actually liquid enough that will be able to take care of those things should you pass on. When last did you do this assessment? And when last did you assess your entire estate to say, are you covered or are you not covered? Because you don't want a situation where your family are left to wonder to say, but we've got this family home, we can't even transfer it because it needs money. Yes, mainly because you have not projected and you have not budgeted for such incidents. That's why you find that people end up leaving those properties, they get losing values, and that's how people end up losing wealth. And we should not actually get to that point where we're losing wealth unnecessarily slow. Okay, good luck, work on that. Okay.